Hi everybody, it's Joni Young here. Welcome back for another acrylic painting tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a butterfly and a few flowers on a gray pre-painted canvas. This measures 9 by 12. I used this neutral gray number 5 here and just added one coat. And I've also got some Mars Black and some titanium white. I'll be using these two brushes here, my 14 filbert and my number 3 round. We still have a few sets left of these brushes. If you're interested in checking them out, there'll be a link below. The very first thing I'm going to do is paint some stems, and I'm going to be using a number 3 round brush. I'm just going to get my brush a little wet, and I'm going to take a little bit of black and a little bit of white, so we have both colors. And I'm going to start by pulling from the base. So it's kind of nice when you have both colors on your brush and you haven't mixed them to make one solid color, and you just apply it like that and you get that two-tone, the light and dark, all at once in one stroke. It's really fun to do that too. Okay, so there's one stem, and then I'm going to add another one here. This is going to be some lily of the valley, and it kind of curves over. And then we're going to add a few little, take a little bit more water. We'll add a few little stems, mini stems on our flower stem. And then we'll add another one here. We'll just continue on with this one. So the idea is to have a few flowers like these lily of the valley here on either side, and then we'll have maybe a pretty little daisy in the center, and then a few butterflies as well, 1 or 2 butterflies. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just rinse my brush out. I'm going to take my filbert brush, get it a little bit wet, and we're going to add some tall leaves that Lily of the Valley has. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white, kind of gray, a little bit of that light gray in there is fine too, and then a little bit of black. And I'm going to start here with it kind of curved, pointy end, narrow like this towards the left, and we're going to just add a little bit of pressure, pull, and then bring it in here. Okay, so let's do that again. You don't have to have the same amount of paint in your brush. You can change it up, have a little bit less white, have a little more black, or vice versa. And then add one there. So that way they come out looking a little different each time. And then I'll come over top. There's one here. The next stem I'm going to add will be with my round brush again, a little bit of black and white and black. So I did black, then white, and then black again. Doesn't really matter though, you just want to have a little bit of each color. And I think I'll have maybe our daisy here. So we'll just add a little stem. Part of that stem will be hidden when we add our petals. And then I'll take a little bit of each color and I'll gently push and wiggle, making that part of the leaf wider, and then let off. And then you can also start with barely any pressure and just the pointy end of your round brush, and then pull, make it a little wider, come in from both sides if you like. You could add a little bit of texture to the ends of them by just adding a little bit of a shaky kind of ruffle edge like that. I'm going to add a little bit of light inside here, leaving it darker here for shadows and a little bit of a shadow here where the leaves are. Okay, so we're ready now to come in, and what I'm going to do is take some white and we're just going to add just little ones like this, and then they're going to get a little bigger, and then we're going to go turn our brush over so the handle is pointing up, 2 and 3. We'll start making this one a little bit bigger. Another little one right here. 1, 2, and then 1 from the other side. Add a little highlight, very thin line on these little lines. 1, 2, and 3. And just continue as far down as you want. And we've got another one kind of hiding back there. Got another little one here. And we'll come around this side. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes it helps to count them as you're painting them. Add a little bit of light here and there. And I'm going to add 1 or 2 in the front here, because they would be hanging in the front as well. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of gray, or I'll make a little bit of gray, a little bit of black and white, and I'm going to come in and add a little scoop inside here, so it's like we can see inside the flower. So this is the front, and these petals are around the other side. And we'll just add a little dab here where the stem meets the flower. Almost like a half of a circle, like that. Okay, so now what I want to do is come in and start adding the petals for our daisy, and I'm going to be using my filbert brush. I'm just going to take a little bit of this light gray first. Just make a really light, soft gray. This is going to be a different gray than the background color because that's a neutral gray number 5, which is warmer. We're using titanium white Mars black for this gray, which is going to give us a cooler gray. So it'll be really nice to have all these different tones of gray. And so what I want to do is have the top, the black center of our daisy right here. And then we're just going to have the petals pulling in. So I'm just going to pull and sweep just the underside, just a little like this with the end of my brush. Okay, and then I'm going to gently push, pull, and let off. Push, pull, and let off. Start to layer over. I'm going to start to add some more with a little bit extra white each time. Okay, I'm going to go over to my round brush here, take my black, and I'm going to go right from here, bring it up and over. You can just tap like this for a little bit of texture. Come back in maybe with a little bit of, make a little bit of gray. But you want to tap it in there so you get a little bit of a texture. Okay, now I'm going to go back over and make some more petals. I'm going to have them kind of coming a bit turned like this to make it interesting. I'm going to take some more white on the end of my brush. See how I have a little bit of white sitting and resting on the top of my brush. So on an angle, push, let off, little pressure, then push, let off. We can go over the center again after, or just wipe it away. I'm going to add some more petals now with straight white. Little pressure, gently push, and then let off. This will give us lighter and darker petals and give it more of a layered look. I like having some of the petals a little bit kind of crooked, lopsided. Just gives the flower a little bit more character. I'm going to switch over to my round brush. I'm going to take some black. I'm going to dip this down a little bit here. Tap and dab again. Add some shadow right here. Okay, then I'll take just a little bit of white, mix that up with the black that's in my brush. Get a little bit of gray. And we can tap in for a few little highlights. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is come in and add a little bit more white with a clean brush. I'm going to go over some of these front petals. And already you can see the difference it makes. Now there's some separation from the front of the flower to the center and the back side. I don't know if you guys can hear a little bit of cracking noise in the background. It's actually so hot today on the island that the sun and the heat hitting my gallery door is making it crack. So just in case, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but if you're wondering what that noise is, I apologize if it is louder than I think it might be. I hope you guys aren't distracted by that. Okay, so see what a difference that makes though. Just add a few little bit more dabs here. And I'm going to add just a little bit of light gray over this little leaf here that's turning over, so it'll have some light hitting it. And all I'm doing is just pulling in with the pointy part, resting my pinky here, using the end of my brush and just light little sweeps. We can add a little bit more light to part of our leaves. I know Lily of the Valley tends to grow in shady areas where it's a little bit darker. The leaves will look a little darker, and the leaves are lower down. So are the flowers low down to the ground. So I'm not going to make them too bright. So I'm going to come in and add a few butterflies now. I'm going to use my filbert brush. I'm going to take a little bit of black. So this tends to work if you just thin it a little bit with some water. You definitely don't want globs of paint and your brush dripping with paint and water. And I'm going to add a little gentle sweep like this, slightly thicker at the front here. I'm going to add another one going this way. Okay, and then I'm going to come on an angle up, bring it around in. Then I'm going to come down here, bring it around and in. Same thing here. Up, around, twist, and bring it in. down, around, twist, and bring it in. And I'm going to come in now with a damp, clean brush. I'm just going to take a little bit of that off. Have my towel here to wipe the excess off. And we're just going to add some light shading. So just a little bit of dampness in the brush and pulling around with that, pulling off some of this wet paint will give us some nice darker gray tones. I'm going to take just a little bit more black and make this one thicker up here because we're going to be adding some patterns in white. Make sure that I have enough. Now we're going to hop over to the round brush. Okay, with a little bit of watered down black. Again, no drips. Just have a little bit on the end of your brush. We're going to have a little dab here, pull, a little dab here, pull for the antenna. And I'm going to take a little bit more. And we'll add a few lines. Just create a little bit of a pattern. Nothing overly detailed. Just add a little something. A few little rounded squares or rectangles. Just little shapes like that. This one's a little bit darker here than I want it to be, so I'm just going to lift off some of that paint. And then, oh, there's that loud cracking noise again. Okay, the next step, I'm going to take a clean brush with a little bit of white and mix it up on my brush and then work off the majority of the paint. If you have even a little bit too much, just dab it off on your towel, and we're going to focus on adding a little dry brush of white close to the body. A little bit too much paint, so I just wiped it off on my towel. So it just gives it sort of a powdery, glowing effect. And then we'll add a little bit on that side as well. A little bit on the bottom of the belly there. Okay, we're ready to start coming in with our dots. So we'll take some white and I'm going to add A little dab there, there, and then they're going to start to get narrower and narrower. Add some more. Reload my brush. Narrower, small, bigger, bigger, and then small. And then I always like to do a few little dots on the head there. And we'll just continue over here. Narrow again. And then bigger there. Narrow, narrow, narrow. Or smaller, smaller, smaller. And just a little dab to the antennae. Just a dry, very dry brush, so hardly any paint or water at all on my brush. And I'm going to dry brush a little bit over center here, just to soften that a little bit as well. Okay, I'm going to add a few more butterflies down here because I'm really liking this kind of, the butterflies around here. It's kind of creating a little bit of an oval or a circle. So I think it would be kind of nice to continue that. I'm going to add a little bit of black and add the little body. Those are a little thicker than I want, so all I'm going to do is just swipe a little bit off with my filbert brush. Then I'll make the other part by the head a little wider. Now I'm going to use my round brush for the rest, and I'm going to bring this up. We're going to go and skip over that flower because I like it. Make that a little bit wider, the black area. And come on this side, up, over, round, and back in. Back over to my filbert brush. I'm going to soften this. Make it look kind of smoky like we did with the wings at the top, or butterflies at the top. Then I'm going to take a little bit of white before I add my little patterns, just so you can see I can do it like this as well. Doesn't really matter what order you add the white or your lines. Okay, so we've got a little bit of white in there. We should add an antenna or antennae. So we'll have one that's like on the other side. Can't see it very well, and then we'll add a little dab here. Pull that in. That's way too big. Let's correct that. We'll just remove a little bit of that paint. Make that a little thinner. Just thin that out. Okay, then I'm going to go into a little bit of black, and we're going to add our lines. I want to thin that paint out with a bit of water. The clean brush, I'm going to take a little bit more white. And just add a bit more there. A little sweep. And we can come in and add our pattern on our wings now, our white dots. And smaller and smaller. And put smaller ones in there as well, then they get a little bigger here. So this painting is all done. Thanks so much for joining me today. Wish you guys all the best in your painting journey. Thanks for being part of mine. See you soon.